Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Ask Shane Anything. This is your chance to ask me literally anything. Games, music, sports, life, whatever. This is a Patreon reward for those who give $10 and more per month to our Patreon. So if you want to ask me questions, jump onto that tier. You'll also get to watch the show several days early with everybody else getting to watch it after. So with that, let's get to the questions. Our first question this week comes from Mark Jones. At the moment, Microsoft and Sony make money from their subscriptions, and they take a cut from third-party sales as a platform holder. On GameFace, you have mentioned that as part of Microsoft's Play Anywhere strategy, they don't care whether you buy a game on PC or Xbox, as long as you buy an Xbox Live subscription. However, if some Xbox users migrate to PC, then surely they will start buying the majority of their third-party games from Steam, which means Microsoft loses out on a lot of revenue. How does Steam factor into Microsoft's Play Anywhere strategy? Isn't Steam a huge problem for Microsoft's long-term plans? Excellent question, Mark. I have to say, we're only 2 episodes in, but this is the best games-related question I've been asked so far on Ask Shane. And you're right. If you look at Microsoft's Play Anywhere strategy, and for those of you who don't know, it's basically games that Microsoft creates are playable on both Xbox and PC going forward. And we're starting to see that already with games like Gears of War, Sea of Thieves coming up, and things like that. So it does kind of make you wonder where Microsoft plans on generating its revenue. The thing is with these games, if you want to play them online, you're going to have to become a member of Xbox Live. And that may not work with third-party games, but certainly for all Microsoft's first-party games. And sure, third-party revenue generated from third-party games on your platform does generate the vast majority of revenue from software sales for a platform. At least if you're talking about Microsoft and Sony. With Nintendo, that's certainly not the case. But when you're talking about Microsoft in particular, yeah, they do stand to lose a huge chunk of their revenue. But Microsoft is smart, and Microsoft has a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of charts, a lot of really intelligent people behind the scenes who are crunching the numbers on this. And I guarantee it has done the math on this to make sure that even if worst case scenario happens, Microsoft would still be okay with the monthly revenue from Xbox Live subscribers. So I hear you. Microsoft has definitely taken a huge risk here with Play Anywhere. I think we've known that ever since we heard about the Play Anywhere initiative. But I also trust that Microsoft doesn't do completely irrational, stupid things other than Kinect, and that it has all its ducks in a row and it knows the numbers and it is planned for a worst case scenario. Our next question comes from Murat Yilmaz. Do you know that you look like Bob Odenkirk? I did not know that. And as much as I love Bob Odenkirk as an actor, I love Breaking Bad. I love pretty much everything that he's been in. It's not exactly a flattering comparison. I'm guessing that Bob is probably a good 15 years older than me. And looking, I don't know, I looked at a bunch of pictures of him. I'm having trouble seeing the resemblance. I'll leave it up to you guys. What do you think? Our next question comes from the Curious Conjurer, a long-term subscriber to SIFTD.net. Have you ever played a game for review or pleasure that you would have been embarrassed to be caught playing? Well, Curious, one game? There have literally been hundreds and hundreds of games that while playing them, I have moments of, oh my gosh, I'm glad I'm playing this game alone. To be perfectly honest with you, the games media has yet to kind of grow up. To me, the best stories in games are still pretty much the worst stories in film and in a lot of cases television, particularly with how television has kind of really picked it up with premium services like Netflix, and of course HBO has a ton of great series that are film quality. So to me, most game stories are pretty embarrassing, but they don't embarrass me as much as just gratuitous swearing and violence. And I'm fortunate enough to have a wife who is kind of interested in games, but is always kind of hovering around while I'm playing games. And she serves as that barometer to tell me, wow, this game is really stepping out of bounds. The most recent game that really got a reaction from her was Wolfenstein 2.
They fucked with the wrong country! Come and fucking get me!
And there is just a lot of gratuitous swearing in there. In a lot of cases, it's really unneeded. In some cases, it is needed, but in a lot of cases, it's not. And she notices that stuff because she'll be sitting there doing something else, and when stuff like this happens, she'll perk up and be like, oh my gosh, what is that? The most recent game, even before Wolfenstein, though, over this past weekend, I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty World War II, and she has remarked at how annoying the multiplayer commentary is.
Enemy has the ball. Get it back. Come, get the ball back. Ball is out. Let's go.
Say they dropped the ball, pick it up. They dropped the ball, pick it up. They dropped the ball, pick it up. The next question is from Christopher Wynn. What are some songs you know by heart? What songs do I not know by heart?
Like a flame, you won't feel the same. It's like an everlasting torch that burns in the rain. Feel like the force of a comet. There's no way you can stop it with a crew of 85. That's called Mantronic.
Oh, I was cutting the rug down at the place called The Chug with a girl named Linda Lou. When in walked a man with a gun in his hand, and he was looking for you-know-who. I don't wanna hear it. All you do is talk about you. I don't wanna hear it. Even though none of it's true, I don't wanna hear it. I'm sick and tired of all your lies. I don't wanna hear it. When you gonna realize that I don't wanna hear it? None of your bullshit. I don't wanna hear it. None of your bullshit. I don't wanna hear it. None of your bullshit. I don't wanna hear it. Me and my crew was out breaking windows. The bingo, the lotto, you know I never win those. It's a beautiful world we live in. A sweet romantic place. Beautiful people everywhere. The way they show they care makes me want to say, it's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful world. For you. For you. For you. The preacher man says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a-going dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you only get mugged if you go downtown. You can't be what you were, so you better stop being just what you are. Hey girl, why are you sleeping tomorrow's world? Hey play girl, why are you dancing when you could be alone? Hey play girl. She walked out with empty arms, machine gun in her hand. She is good, she is bad, no one understands. She walked through the sun, never spoke a word. She's got all the signs, she's a daddy's girl. Nights in white satin, never reaching the end. Letters I've written, never meaning to send. What means to you, what means to me, and we will meet again. I'm watching you, I'm watching all, I take no pity from your friends. Who is right, who can tell, and who gives a damn right now? Till the spirit new sensation takes hold, then you know. Till the spirit new sensation takes hold, then you know. Till the spirit new sensation takes hold, then you know.
Next up, we got Keith McWomble. You guys may recognize his name. He asked great questions for Pactor Factor, and now he's asking me one. What would make you happier, the Steelers winning the Super Bowl or you winning the SIFTD Fantasy League? So, again, I realize a lot of people who haven't been on SIFTD all this time are being introduced to things that we've had going on for the last couple years with the site. And not only do Matt and I from GameFace have a video game fantasy league for, I think this is the third year now that we've done it, where we pick games and at the end of the year we add up their aggregate scores and the highest score wins. But we also do a traditional fantasy football league with SIFTD users. I did not win last year. I went to the championship game and I lost. This year I'm in first place right now, but I don't think I'm going to win it again. But as far as which I would prefer, the Steelers all the way. It's not even close. I'm a huge Pittsburgh fan, again, for those of you who may not know me. Steelers, Penguins, Pirates. Had a good run with the Penguins over the last couple of years for sure. But yeah, real football still matters more to me than fantasy football, 1. And 2, there's no money on the line in the SIFTD Fantasy League. It's just bragging rights. And so if I had to pick, the Steelers winning the Super Bowl, winning their 7th Super Bowl, hands down, more important to me than winning the SIFTD Fantasy League. And our next question is from Dave Collier. How has SIFTD changed the way you consume gaming media? Has it encouraged you to try things you would have otherwise dismissed? Are you playing more of those slightly creepy Japanese booby games? Dave, I am not playing more of the creepy Japanese booby games. I did a lot of that when I first started in the industry at GameSpot back in like 99, 2000. I was the new guy on the block at GameSpot, and therefore, as it always is, I was kind of the guy who got shoved the stuff that nobody else wanted to play. So I had to play a ton of that stuff back then. And to be perfectly honest with you, it really hasn't changed all that much. In general, the kind of the B-level Japanese games are still kind of struggling to get up to the quality of Western games from like 5 or 6 years ago. So those games in particular are always kind of behind the curve. As far as my gaming media consumption, how it's changed since I launched SIFTD, it has completely changed. It's not even in the same stratosphere. So back before I launched SIFTD, and this is the reason I launched SIFTD, was I would have 15, literally like 15 tabs open in my browser at all times. I'd have NeoGAF open, just trying to find all the latest news, get it as it breaks. Since I launched SIFTD, I don't need any of that anymore, none of it. I mean, SIFTD handles everything for me. And our last question of the week comes from Matthew Kane. And this one's a little off topic. Matt writes, what's your favorite beer or style of beer? If you're not a beer fan, what's your favorite alcoholic beverage? So when I first started drinking in my early 20s, and I did pretty much wait until I was legal to start drinking. I think I had drank a couple times underage before I was 21. I know it sounds crazy, but that's the absolute truth. I was in like the punk and hardcore scene. I was hanging around with like all the straight edge kids. And so I didn't really drink all that much until I kind of turned 20, 21. When I first started, beer seemed to be the easiest thing to drink, to get drunk. And so I drank a lot of beer back then, but I drank really cheap beer. And then I went through this kind of transition phase in college where everyone drinks beer in college. I would take out student loans, extra student loans every semester to help me pay for my living expenses. I'm still paying those off now, by the way. So don't do that. I highly recommend against taking out extra money for living expenses with your student loans. Pro tip right there. So I kind of transitioned from drinking beer all the time to starting to drink liquor. And I think what I found was that, one, liquor is quicker. It seems like a cleaner intoxication. The hangovers don't really change all that much unless you're talking about drinking cider beer, which tends to give me terrible hangovers because there's so much sugar in it. But it was just quicker, easier. I wasn't consuming as many calories drinking liquor. But I did go through that transition phase. I did go through a big beer stage. And so back then, I mean, still, my favorite beer to drink is lager. It's the easiest beer to drink. It's the best beer to drink when you're golfing or when you're at a barbecue and you're outside and it's hot. And that tends to be when I drink beer. I'll drink beer at barbecues where I know I'm going to be there all day and I don't want to get really drunk and end up being a disaster like 3 hours into the barbecue. Or if I'm golfing or doing something athletic, I'll drink beer. But I generally drink lager. I have nothing against the darker stuff. I've drank more than my share of Guinness through the years. There used to be a little Belgian beer bar right across the street from my apartment in Philadelphia. So it was called Cuvée. I don't even know if it's still there. It's like 15th and Green. But we would go there all the time. So we were drinking a ton of like the really dense Belgian stuff, Chimay and stuff like that. So I've certainly paid my dues where beer is concerned, but to be perfectly honest with you at this point, I hardly ever drink beer anymore. It takes too long. There's too many calories. When you get older, you have to really watch like how you're consuming calories. If I do go golf, I'll just drink like Coors Light or just whatever, basically water, where you have to drink like 10 of them to even feel that you were drinking. But when I go out to a concert or to a bar or whatever, or go out with friends, I generally drink vodka, and I almost always drink vodka and Red Bull. And there are still some bars that don't serve energy drinks for mixed drinks or really at all. And if I get to one of those, then I'll just have like a vodka and cranberry, maybe with a little bit of orange juice tossed in there. But that's pretty much it. I am pretty much 100% a vodka drinker. Thanks everyone for watching Ask Shane episode 2. Once again, excellent questions, guys. Blown away. I still have a log of 30 or 40 more questions to get through before we ask for more. So these are going to keep coming. Again, if you'd like to get in on the action and ask questions, just contribute $10 a month to our Patreon at patreon.com/SIFTD. And you'll get to watch this early as well. I think we set the last one at 4 days. So you'll get 4 days early access to this before it gets sent out to everybody else. So thanks for your support. I appreciate it so much. Have a great day.